Welcome to Cosmic Compass, the leading astrocartography podcast. And I'm your host, Helena. And here we have a special guest on the show, human design expert, wise projector, Lea Cristin. I'm so honored to have her on the show. She's my human design expert, coach, person that I go to for all my human design needs.
Thank you for having me.
And we're going to be talking about your journey in human design. We're going to talk about astrology and also your places in the world and all of your different travel stories and what's come up for you in these different parts of the world. And I'll be looking at your map at the same time. So I'm really
Tell
excited.
us a little
bit about how you got to where you are.
Whew, I feel like that's it started from the day I was born. Like I always felt like, why do I think different? Why do I just not fit in? And I had so many doubts around that. And then when I was actually, I don't know, I think I was 26 or 25. My best friend died. And I think a few days before, I got this intuitive ping that I need to do a speech. And up to that point, I haven't had anyone pass away. I had no clue what's the formality of a speech that you have on a funeral. But I got a download and I wrote it down in like 10 minutes. And I was so sure that I wanted to talk about this. And the longer I waited and the more people I talked to about this speech, the more doubts kept coming up. And then I was confronted with a decision like, is this really true what they're saying? Is this selfish that I'm talking about him and my connection? Do I have to include the public more? But I ended up just going with my initial splenic yes. And I did the speech just as I wrote it down. And then after I held the speech at the funeral, a mutual friend of ours reached out to me and he said, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to meet you. And so I met up with him a few days later, and then he introduced me to energy healing. And in a by sentence, he mentioned human design. And from that moment, it felt like my soul lit up. And I went home that day and I haven't stopped studying since. And that was about 7.5 years ago. So yeah, because it gave me so much understanding and clarity around myself and what I want to do in my life. I never knew what I wanted to do. I was always like, how does everyone know? How do you find it out? I was watching YouTube videos, like how to find your purpose, how to find your passion. And yeah, human design helped me with that. And that's why I'm now using it as a tool to help people figure out what it is that they want to do with their lives and how they want to do it. And I'm very much focusing on, I recently like added the MC to that, and mine is in Capricorn. And I saw a pattern that a lot of people come to me for career advice, for little tweaks. Like I have super empowered clients, they do their own thing. They sometimes just need a little bit of a nudge or some food for thought, and then they go on their merry way again. So yeah, that's what I will be focusing on moving forward. Projects, businesses, soul entrepreneurs, helping them realign their business and their offerings to what's authentic for them.
I love that. And that's what I go to for you with you as well. When I book readings with you, it's always often like business strategy and thinking about business and all that. And that's that Capricorn MC. Yeah. And all those planets in Capricorn in the ninth house. So for those listening, are you comfortable with me sharing a little bit about your chart?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So you're Taurus rising. And so you see life through this Taurus lens, grounded, stable, and, delighted by can be the finer things in life or the simple joys, like beautiful things, beauty, pleasure, the senses of life. And your midheaven is your reputation. So it's how people see you. So you kind of can really relate maybe to more of the Taurus energy and seeing life through that lens. But a lot of the public and how other people see you on social media, et cetera, can be more of that Capricorn. And with all these planets, your Venus, your Saturn, Neptune, Sun, so you can relate very well with that Capricorn energy. And Uranus and your North Node, you have this huge stellium in Capricorn with your MC in the 9th house. So like you're a guide, you're a teacher, you're a mentor, you're someone that people can depend on and rely on. And yeah, what a powerful stellium there for like God. I mean, if you've ever wanted to write a book, I could see you writing a book as well.
Maybe at some point, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so cool with synastry. I'm really fascinated by like relationship compatibility and like why people are drawn to each other. And there's usually always a rising and a sun connection or like a sun moon connection. And so you're Taurus rising, I'm a Taurus sun. You have Scorpio in your 7th house. So like a lot of Scorpio energy tends to come in your life from other people. I'm a Scorpio rising. And then we both have Leo moons. And then your Capricorn stellium and your sun is in my 3rd house of social connections and people I communicate with. So I just love that. Anytime you have a rising and sun connection, sun moon, 3rd house, 5th house of fun, 11th house of friendship, and 7th house of relationships. If you ever have like your planets or their planets in those houses in your chart, there can be some really nice just connections friendship wise. Where are you right now in the world?
I am in Bali right now. And we just briefly talked about this. I have my Venus DS line in Bali, or like very close to where I'm living in Bali. But more close to that is I think it's my North Node DS line, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right in Bali, you have the North Node descendant with Venus and Saturn. So that like all that conjunction in your chart, and it's all moved to the 7th house of relationships. So usually it's in the 9th and it's all moved to the 7th, which is all about relatability with others, connecting with people, one-on-one conversations, and just other people in your life coming into your life. This is a place where you meet your people, and it can be your partner. Venus is love, romance. I see this for a lot of people. People meet their partner on this line. And then the fact that the North Node there, it's like amping the volume. I am curious though, because I've experienced this on the North Node descendant line. Do you feel, because the South Node's on your ascendant when you're here, so it's like volume up, increase on others, and lessening, decrease, or just it's not something that's as energizing on your ascendant. Have you noticed that you want to be with other people a lot in Bali and you want to be alone less? Or have you found that that's not a theme that comes up when you're here?
I was thinking about that because I watched the video of you where you were in Abu Dhabi. I think you had your nodal reverse there. And so I went here with this in the back of my mind and I was observing, like, is this the case? And I have to say that, like, usually because I have my Saturn always next to I still have it, but just in a different house, next to my Venus. I am quite good being alone. I'm quite like, I don't really like every time I go to a psychic or a therapist or whatever it is, I never ask about love. I always ask about career.
Yeah.
And so this time around, I feel like a lot of topics, like relationship topics, are coming up. And I came out of a 4-year relationship last year that I thought I had processed and everything was like groovy. But then coming to my Venus line, and I also have, I'm not sure which planet is transiting my 12th house, but there's something going on. Chiron, something else challenging. A lot of unconscious stories have come up again around self-worth in relationships, around like grief. I feel like I just closed my heart up after that breakup and I was like, I'm done with men, I am not interested or anything. And I feel like now being on that line has opened me up again, not only to the desire to want a relationship, but also to, first of all, like clear out the gunk, because we always want to up level and upgrade and attract more aligned relationships. So I feel like that's the topic right now. I haven't really felt obviously I'm more open to the idea of having a relationship, but I'm not like fully yet, oh my God, I want to
Yeah.
get like
Yeah.
married and everything.
For sure. Yeah, I was just wondering because the South Node can also bring gifts. I always like to say the South Node is something that maybe you're less focused on, but there's gifts there. And Chiron's also there. You have Chiron at 25 Cancer and your ascendant's at 28 Cancer. So within a 3-degree orb. So definitely like being a healer, self care. Have a lot of self care themes come up for you here with also your Jupiter and your moon relocated to your second house of like self care, taking care of self, values.
Yes, a lot of self-worth topics in relation to the relationships. Um, we just finished Venus retrograde as a Taurus rising on a Venus line. Like I think maybe my soul was like, let's give her everything at once. So she's ready. Um, I literally, it felt like for me, I was processing the breakup that happened, I don't know, like maybe 8 months before, right
Mm-hmm.
when Venus retrograde happened. It did get triggered by an event, but um, yeah, I developed a lot of new strategies. And for example, my thing right now is like hyping myself up. You probably do that too. I
Oh,
stand in
yeah.
front of the mirror and I
Oh,
talk to
yeah.
myself as if I'm the most delusional girl, like everywhere I go, I meet amazing people. I am lovable. I am worthy, whatever. Like anything that I need that day, I just tell myself.
Of course. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I talk to myself as I'm walking down the street. I'll be like, you got this, Helena. Like, always like pumping myself up verbally out loud. And then also, I sleep with subliminals on sometimes if I need that extra confidence. So I'll put on like Dylan James on YouTube. He's a YouTuber and he has these quiet subliminal affirmations that you listen to while you're sleeping. And I put it on my phone really low. I put it on my nightstand. So it's super low. So it's not bothering my sleep, but it just seeps into my mind. So like, it'll be like, I am confident. I am worthy of everything I desire. And I wake up the next morning literally like, I am worthy of everything I desire because I was just listening to it all night.
That's amazing. Wait, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Dylan James.
James,
Okay.
he's great. He's the best affirmations, I think, on YouTube. His sleep meditations are so good.
Ah, I literally just did a podcast episode where I shared the story of how my sister manifested her dream partner by being completely delusional and just talking about meeting people everywhere. She's like, I have to fight them off with a stick. Like everyone loves me. Like I'm the hottest person, like she turned it up to the max. And yeah, and I think it's so interesting because we always look at confident people and then we think, oh, they were just born like that. No.
No. We have to train ourselves. Oh yeah, and it's years of it too. Like, I mean, for me, it was like I was so when I was doing YouTube for the first time, I got so many mean comments. I would like cry every day by the mean comments. So I had to like figure something out because I was like, this isn't sustainable. Like, I'm not going to be able to do this long term. There's no enduring career if I keep being reactive to this. And so I got into To Be Magnetic. You know To Be Magnetic, right?
Yeah.
And so basically like rewiring my beliefs on like a subconscious level, things from childhood and stuff. I've had to reprogram my whole life. Like, but it works in terms of like what you believe about yourself becomes true. And so when you actively decide this is what I'm available for, this is what I want in my life. And so in order to become that version of who I want to be, I need to do XYZ. I need to do this in my day. I need to believe these new thoughts. And it's not even about control either. It's for me, it's fun, exploring the ways that make you feel like your biggest cheerleader. And also, it's also like, what have you got to lose? Life is short. You might as well be delusional and go big, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I think you have to be your biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
No one else is gonna do it. And yeah, it's it's so interesting because I was always like, actually, I think we both have this. I need to check again like where it is in the chart. Like for me, I only care about application, like we're both third lines. I'm like, I
Yeah.
need to know, okay, how do I apply this? So there's an information in a human design chart where you can find out how you're gonna tune your frequency in the best way. And for both of us, it's about speaking. When we speak negatively, it lowers our frequency. It
Mm-hmm.
just to say this applies to everyone, but just like with the love languages, some people have one part that helps them more than others. And I noticed that, for example, also when I talk about something that I'm excited about, I have such an influence. People are like, oh my God, I want to do this too. And the same goes for when I'm complaining or I'm just talking like, meh, meh, meh. It has a huge impact as well. So I really make an effort to not only change like the inner thoughts, but also the outer thoughts. Like, as you said, like I'm sitting on my scooter. I either chant intuitive expanding mantras, or I talk to myself as if I was I don't know, the biggest deal in the world.
Yes, you have to. Especially if you want to make an impact, on other people.
Yes.
Like being able that nervous system regulation work too.
Oh my God.
Because it's like
Yeah.
one reel that pops off and you get tons of feedback from people. It's like you've got to be able to hold that. Can you contain more of that? It's like holding that energy, that feeling so that you're unshakable and you can remain grounded and steady.
It's something that I actually recently it just clicked for me. I always knew about this, that your ability to grow is proportionate to your capacity to hold space for it, also in your nervous system. And I was like, yeah, it's nice words, but I need I need a personal example of how this relates to my life. And for example, I have, as you see in my chart, I have Jupiter in the fourth house. I have Chiron in the fourth house. I have my Leo moon in the fourth house. For me, my home is my foundation for how I'm feeling emotionally. And whenever there's something, let's say there's bad energy in the air, or there's a conflict or something that makes me feel not in control, then I get really dysregulated. And I just had this happen to me. And I'm like, wow, Lea, it's not the end of the world. Like, for example, the apartment that I'm in, it smells bad. It
Mm-hmm.
smelled bad. Let's let's correct this. It got changed today, but having smell as my strongest sense, like everyone has a strongest sense in human design, and that's basically the first step that your intuition takes information through, and then it goes further to your authority. For you it would be sacral, for me it's splenic. So if my nose is blocked, I cannot get all of the information through to my spleen, which is then going to give me intuitive hits throughout the day or whenever I need them. And having this information, I'm like, oh fuck, and if it doesn't smell nice, then it's not for me, I have to leave. And it was stressing me out so much. And then I realized this is happening because I'm being tested in staying grounded. Sometimes you cannot control the circumstances. Just like you said, you post a video, it goes viral, a bunch of people fall into the trap of your projection field, and they get it in the wrong throat, as we say in German, like in the wrong folder, and then they just start bashing you, and you're like, okay, I can either react to it, or I can choose to regulate myself and focus on something that I can control, and yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know why I started telling this story, but
It's so important. And what are the different senses in human design? So there's smell, there's taste, right? Or
yeah, there's smell, there's taste, there is outer vision, inner vision, um, touch, and feeling. And so,
wow.
for example, are you taste?
I'm smell.
You smell like me. Okay. Smell
Mm-hmm.
people, we're like, that's like a very primal instinct. We walk into a room and we're like, it doesn't always have to be like actual smell. It's also about smelling the frequency of someone's voice. It's very, for me, it's Scorpio energy.
Yeah.
It's like, you're bullshitting me. I don't
Yes.
have the facts yet, but I can smell your lying.
Yes. I tell people, Alex, my husband, gets so frustrated by me because I'll meet someone in a second. I'll like know if I like them or not because I can sense them
Same.
immediately, whether they're being honest and true or they're fake. And Alex, like, I'm very picky. I have Virgo in the 11th house. I'm extremely picky about who like my friends are and who I let in my life. And like, he gets so frustrated because like, come on, like, he's Leo in the 11th, so he's always like open to like all the people coming in. I'm like, no, I can smell something's off. Something's off.
Mhm. It's it's about survival as well, because especially for us as fifth lines, we get projected on all day long. So we need to make sure that we're with people that think we're the shit.
Yeah, yes, it's important. I love that you're doing all of that. Because that hype girl, being your own hype girl, it's so important. Yeah, it leads to a happier life too. When you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into a little bit of so tell us about your human design work. So you've been doing it along almost a full Venus cycle, which is really cool. 8 years is a full Venus cycle. Um, how have you mixed astrocartography with human design at all, or astrology with human design? And what do you think are the differences between astrology and human design?
I have. So there's a how do I put this? So every person has an ideal environment in which they thrive in. Just like animals have their habitat in which they belong, like fish belong in the water, birds belong in, I mean, they can kind of be anywhere. They would probably be shores. Or like polar bears, they need to be at the poles or somewhere where it's cold. Every human being also has an environment that they thrive in. And because for humans it's a little bit different, because it doesn't mean that when we're not in our ideal environment that we're going to die like the fish would. But because of that, it's sometimes a little bit harder for us to see, is this actually an environment that is supporting me? Because we can survive in so many challenging places as well. It's then surviving and not thriving, but we still stay alive. So I'm actually using astrocartography in combination with the human design environments, because I feel like that is like the magic, the sweet spot. So let's say I want to find love. Then obviously I would be looking to my Venus DS line. What I have noticed for myself is also that the Jupiter DS line works really well. I haven't
Oh
like
yeah.
fully been on that line yet, but when I was in Costa Rica, I met someone um, who came right from my Jupiter DS line, and he introduced me to so many people. Like, he opened so many doors for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's one of the biggest ones I find with my clients is they meet their partners on Jupiter descendant lines for sure.
wow.
Yeah. And I met my husband on my Mercury descendant line.
Mm.
And my Venus is in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. And so when Mercury moved over to the seventh house and like sat on my descendant, that's where my husband was. And my husband has Mercury on his ascendant. So there's like this cool swap.
Ah. So your Venus is in Gemini and you met him on a Mercury line. Would that mean
Mhm.
that people who have, let's say, for example, me, I have Venus in Capricorn, that I
Mhm.
could even meet someone on a Saturn line?
Saturn descendant line. Yep.
Mm.
Yeah. I teach that in one of my workshops. But yeah, I mean, I had a client who they met when they were like 18 and they were in their late 70s, and they both met each other on Uranus descendant lines. Um, yeah, you can meet on lots of different lines, sun descendant, moon descendant lines. I find the biggest ones tend to be Venus and Jupiter on the descendant, Sun descendant, and the North Node on the descendant. Those are the ones I consistently see, but you can meet your partner on basically when a planet goes to that angle of the descendant in the chart and on the map. It's just showing like this is where partnership and people are becoming really pronounced in your life. And yeah, so for you, you have Capricorn, Venus Capricorn, so it'd be Saturn descendant, and that's in Bali.
Stop it.
And so did you say like a
I did.
psychic?
Yes. So I went to a psychic maybe 2 weeks ago. And for me, it's always like Chiron in the fourth. Where's my home? Where do I belong? And she said to me, you're going to stay in Bali for the next couple of years. You're going to meet your partner here. You're going to give workshops. You're going to meet this partner probably through workshops, which is so interesting because I have Pluto in my seventh house. Let's say, I think traditional planet association would be Mars. Mars in my first. So me meeting someone while the spotlight is on me.
Yeah. You doing your own thing, leading your life. Yeah.
Would make sense. So yeah, I also I said this to you before. I don't yet feel this like that something is in the air, that he's close, because I feel like right now the focus is on like keeping my anchor within and making sure that I'm so stable within myself that I always say, when you get an offer from anything and you get too excited about it, then it's easy to lose your integrity. You can get excited about it, but not to the point where you're like having the rose-colored glasses on and then you're blinded.
Yeah.
And so that's the lesson for
Wow.
right now, I feel.
It makes me just randomly think about an experience I had. This was earlier this year. I had a showrunner reach out to me and want to do a show about astrocartography, and like I be on the show as like the resident astrologer to help people find love in the world. And she was like my biggest hype girl. She's like, oh my God, I see you having your own show. Like, I can see you doing this. And I was like, when I got off the call, I was like, oh my God, my world's going to change. Like, everything's going to change. Oh my God, this is the transit. La, 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 la. And then I remember in the call, she asked me, like, would you be willing to like have like kind of shit happen to you? Because the thing with reality TV is they can spin it, the narrative, right? And like, it may not be exactly, basically she was like, are you going to be okay if like kind of your public image kind of gets a little, I don't say
Whatever
damaged,
this
but like
line.
things happen. Yeah. And I was just like, I was like, sure, I don't care. That's being public. Like, it's just going to happen. That's inevitable. Why not? And then later on, when I got more grounded and I got those rose colored glasses off, I was like, actually, no. It just makes me think about that. Like when something gets really exciting, like you have an opportunity and it kind of, you have those rose colored glasses of what could be, you've got to ground yourself again, because you can just kind of live in that fantasy and you won't be thinking straight. Whereas if you give it some time, give it a few months, think about it, put yourself in a different environment and really think about that, you might find that you would make different decisions.
Yeah. But also, like, think about your values and the way that you want to achieve success.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
because I could also, and I was not posting a lot of videos with me and my body because of the fifth line projection, because I had to heal a lot of like sexual wounds. And I noticed that now that I'm doing it more, it's easier. The videos get picked up, people respond, and I'm like, it would be so easy for me to just go completely down that road. But I'm not doing it because it's not the way that I want to be known. It's not my leading gift,
Yeah. I feel that way about TikTok too as well. I recently got off TikTok like for good, because I was like, I don't want this TikTok to be associated with like my work and like my image and like my reputation as an astrologer, and I had to make that hard decision, even though it was growing and doing well. I was like, I can't. Yeah, those questions are so important. Your values, like what is important to you, all Venus retrograde stuff, which we just have been through. But then also it's like, I mean, yeah, with you and Bali, it's like Jupiter and the moon in the second. It's like those ideas of like being your own hype girl. What do you value? What's important to you? Your self-worth, that magnetism, that Jupiter expands and makes things bigger. And so with your moon next to Jupiter, it's like Jupiter expands your moon, which is like your need for nourishment, safety, and emotional fulfillment. And also when it's in the second house, it's like giving yourself love, like self-love. And so that story really amplifies with self-worth themes when you're in Bali specifically.
The people, they can also find the course on the human design environments in your astrocartography reader training. But my best environment is called valleys, and I just need to be in a place, in a home, where I feel like there's information exchange, there's a little bit of gossip going on, or like you can come home and you're like, guess what happened? And I noticed that if I don't have that, it really has an impact on my emotional well-being.
Are there any places that you've traveled to that are the valley type that you really loved in the world, that you like left feeling like, oh, that was a great trip, I really love that place?
Yes. I would say any place can be a valley if you know what to look for, but very often it's beach towns that still have something going on, not like completely remote with, I don't know, no supermarket or anything. There needs to be a little bit of an influx of people and some traffic and some in and out. But I would say I found this a lot in hostels. And I have a conflict with that because I don't like, like I'm not a hostel person, but I
You're
get
Taurus rising.
no, totally not. But I get so hyped on the connections and on the possibilities of passing information on or having someone tell me something. It's like the best marketing ever. And I think the craziest I felt in this regard was in Costa Rica and Santa Teresa.
Wow.
It's on my Uranus AS/Sun AS line.
Oh yeah, it's exciting.
It was amazing. I went there during my 9th house perfection year, so it was all around establishing my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, my beliefs also about human design. And I was there maybe 2 years ago, and up until then, I always felt like, because human design is coming from Ibiza, and I have my Uranus MC line going directly through Ibiza.
Oh wow.
It's crazy. And sometimes I get shit from people when I go too, like, I wouldn't say dogmatic, but when I'm very convinced about something, I feel like people, not everyone, I learned how to, like leave conversations so that doesn't happen. But it sometimes occurs that people then challenge me. And because of that, I was like, I don't know, I'm going to keep it a little bit like low profile. And then when I was in Santa Teresa on that Uranus line, I met someone via the Jupiter DS contact who was a shaman, and he also knew Rauruhu, who is the founder of the Human Design System. And it was insane. He's a manifester, 5/1, just like Ra, and I've never met such an empowered person like him, and a manifester with so much influencing power. And he really like hammered in that belief: Lea, you're good at human design, you're amazing at how you explain it, stop doubting yourself. And that for me, it changed me.
Wow.
So
And a Uranus MC line. So, and that's going through, yeah, it's going right through Ibiza. Yeah, have you based yourself there and done any work there?
no.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
But I do notice that whenever I'm around the Uranus line, something happens with my laptop.
Oh, wow. Electricity, yeah. I find people have a hard time sleeping on this line too. But some of my favorite astrologers live on this line. Like this is a common line with astrologers, people who are into anything technical. Like human design astrology is very technical. Um, but yeah, very it can be a very successful line. Majorca, you have a Venus Saturn going through Majorca, so it can be relationship themes, specifically a little bit more north there. And your son MC, I mean, wow, what a place to be seen.
Yeah, I was in actually in Spain last year during my 10th house perfection year because I kind of wanted to. I don't know. I mean, you know it. When that
Yeah.
perfection year starts, it's like all your internal voices say this is the theme, and then you just gravitate towards these places. And yeah, I was in Barcelona. I was also in Mallorca. I didn't make it to Ibiza. I don't know why. It just didn't feel aligned.
Yeah.
And I got so much recognition for my work. I literally felt like walking on a cloud. I have to say though that I feel like the ninth house perfection year was like materially better than the 10th house. The 10th house was more recognition and public standing, but it doesn't always translate into money or into sales.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I always say like 10th house is, the recognition for your work. It's, fame, recognition, all that. But your second house of money and your sixth house of your job is where we're going to see a lot more money themes. It's interesting though, because when you're in a ninth house perfection year, it activates all those planets that are in your ninth house. Like you have a whole huge Capricorn stellium in the ninth, whereas your 10th is empty. And so it's like when you have a ninth house year, it's like that's a huge year for you because all those planets are going to get hit by transits when they come through, which is going to activate a lot in your life. So like when it's, Capricorn season and the sun goes through Capricorn during that month, it's going to hit all of those planets. Your sun obviously during your solar return, your Uranus, Neptune, your midheaven, your Saturn, Venus and north nodes. So yeah, and then Mercury and Venus follow shortly behind the sun. So there's just a lot of energy when you're in a ninth house perfection year for sure. And also just in Capricorn season in general, do you find that a lot of things tend to happen to you during Capricorn season, during your birth month, December into January?
Um, well, last year was a bit weird because Mars was in Cancer, and I feel like when that hit, it completely slowed me down. I
Yeah.
don't know. I was like a sloth.
Yeah. Same. Everyone struggled with the Mars and Cancer transit. We're
Ah,
almost there. We're almost out of it. I was telling everyone, I was like, we need to like this. We're in for a long winter's nap, my friends. And it's just like, it's been a long one.
yeah, and then like there's a point where you question like, is this ever gonna go away, or is this
Yeah,
my personality now? Like, ooh.
for sure. For
Um,
sure.
I feel like yeah, I feel like a lot is happening, but a lot is happening in regards to letting go and starting fresh and yeah, reevaluating myself. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Maybe
Yeah.
I would have
Something,
to think about it a
something,
bit more.
yeah, something to note. And then also you have your part of fortune in 1 degree Sagittarius. So right when we enter Sag season, that can be a really cool time for you as well.
That is in Sep. No, no, October, November. No, December.
December.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm.
right when we enter Sag season, when the sun enters early Sag, it'll hit your part of fortune. And I find when transits hit the part of fortune, they can be times in life where just things just end up happening. Like it's like a fate point. So it's life is happening, just life things are coming to you in life. You don't really have to do much. Things are just going to happen. But when you have good planets hit the part of fortune, it's like good blessings come into your life. Like if Venus or Jupiter hits the part of fortune, or just the sun, Mercury, can be really cool opportunities. So a little timing thing.
Nice.
Um, what? So we talked about Ibiza. We talked about your sun and your Uranus line. Um, And so you said the founder of human design was in Ibiza, and that's where your career line is. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah. He's not originally from there, but he lived there for many, many years, and that's also where he, in his interpretation, he channeled the system. How it actually came about, nobody really knows, I think. Um, but yeah, it's the
This is
Uranus MC line, and I
this
mean the
is
Sun MC line is right next to it in Majorca.
Yeah, because you have them conjunct in your chart. This is such a cool example of remote activation because you don't have to live somewhere to activate a story. It's like, what are the places that you're drawn to? I always like to say, if you're interested in, Hinduism, or you love, Buddhism, where do you have those astrocartography lines? Are they going through India? Are they going through Tibet? Like, because we feel drawn to stories and themes where something originated or something where something is from. And so I just think it's so cool that your career lines are just going right through there. And that's what you do. You're like a human design expert. So that's so fun. What are some other places in the world that you've been to that you really like? Do you have any other astrocartography stories or places you went that something got activated for you in a specific topic, or just you felt really good in certain places?
Um, I feel like it kind of changes depending on what season of life I'm in. It's not like, oh, this line is always good. It really depends where I'm at. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I was traveling I lived actually in Portugal also for a bit, and then I traveled to the north of Spain. And I think I have some parents there, like a moon parent and Pluto
Mm-hmm.
something. And I have my moon in Leo. And I noticed like one day I took myself out for dinner and I put on lipstick and mascara. I'm like, who am I? I usually don't. I usually don't do this. I was like checking my map. I'm like, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and your Pluto North node, the nodes with Pluto there up in the top part of Spain, it's like some sort of transformation or seeing something differently, doing things in a different way. Yeah, it's a really powerful parent for transformation, rebirth, or just changing things up.
Yeah, I feel like also Barcelona. I have my Sun MC line there. Or the closer I get to my Sun MC line, I just start getting messages with offers or something like that.
Wow.
It's great. I think one of the most transformational locations was Santa Teresa on Sun AS and Uranus AS line, but also Sayulita in Mexico. I'm not sure what line I
Wow.
have. I think like a Pluto trine, like it's a parent or something like that,
Okay.
and it completely changed the way that I saw myself. I took so much action on my desires. Like I was there for I think 3 months, and I got more shit done in 3 months than in a whole year living on my Neptune MC line in Amsterdam.
Did you say it was a Pluto line in Costa Rica that you just mentioned?
No, that was in
Oh.
Sayulita.
Oh, Sayulita. Okay. Because, yeah, you have a Mars Pluto in Costa Rica, which is like getting things done, like super driven, taking a lot of action, can accomplish a lot in a short amount of time. Um, Amsterdam. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you're Neptune MC. Was it a creative place for you? Super spiritual? Did you get a lot of downloads? Did you feel like you were really tapped into your intuition in Amsterdam?
Yes, I feel like Amsterdam was the beginning of my spiritual journey. I did ayahuasca there for the first time. Um, I experimented with other hallucinogenic, whatever it's called, substances, and I became spiritual. I was a complete atheist before I moved to
Wow.
Amsterdam. hmm
Wow.
And it was there that I got interested in all of these. I mean, obviously, like just before I discovered human design, and because my best friend died, then I had contact with psychics because I wanted to know where the fuck he is. um, but it was really Amsterdam that catapulted this whole journey. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. Oh my God, what a cool story. And you also have a Sun Neptune midpoint going right through Amsterdam directly, which is huge for like awakening, spiritual growth, like realizations, like all of that, connecting with a higher power, your intuition. Like that is so cool.
Yeah. I feel like um if you want to like become more spiritual and find a belief and grow maybe a spiritual practice, um the Neptune MC line is so beautiful for that. I felt like towards the end of my time there, when I wanted to get more concrete and like plan out things and take action towards my goals, everything was like kind of blurry.
Yeah. Yeah, Neptune dissolves things, where whether it's like releasing an old identity or an old way of seeing things and it's something new, but Neptune is always very hazy, a little bit confusing. It's great for artists. I find a lot of musicians and filmmakers, a lot of the clients I've had that are in the arts, they tend to like live on Neptune lines, musicians, photographers, painters, filmmakers. Have you been to Madeira? Because in Madeira, the Portuguese island, you have, your Mercury and Sag, which I always say Mercury and Sag is a storyteller. It's the teacher, it's the preacher, it's the wise guru kind of energy with, how you speak and share information. And that is on the career point, the midheaven. And then you have a Venus node really close to Madeira with an orb apparent. So I was looking at like Canary Islands versus Madeira, but Canary Islands, you have Chiron in the nodes and Jupiter, Mars, which is fine. But Madeira with that Venus node, the Venus nodes parent is a really fun one.
Oh, interesting. I haven't. I've checked out the Canaries
Mm-hmm.
because I found a Valley's place there, but then I didn't end up going, and I went to
Mm-hmm.
Barcelona instead. But that sounds promising.
Yeah. And I know you're Valleys type. So I feel like Madeira and the Canary Islands, they have that kind of like markets and people doing things. It's small town vibes. Everyone knows what's going on in each other's business, especially Madeira, a very small island.
Nice. Have you been there?
No, but I see it on Instagram all the time, and I've read a lot about it. It's a cool island. A lot of Americans are moving there to buy properties because people are trying to leave the US and they're going over there to either Portugal or the island in Madeira. But it looks beautiful. It looks like the Hawaii of Europe.
That's what I saw also on Instagram. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know someone I follow, Mimi Icon. I don't know if you know Mimi Icon from the old YouTube days, but she was just in Madeira like a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, it looks so beautiful.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna put it on
Yeah,
my travel list.
yeah. Do you have a favorite planet or astrocartography line in general, like a favorite planetary archetype?
Mm, it always depends on what I currently crave or desire, but I really like living on my Sun AS line and also the Uranus.
Mm.
Honestly, like I get bored quite easily, and I feel like even though in Santa Teresa I lived in a small, like a surf village, every day I would leave the house and I would either end up, I don't know, in a ayahuasca ceremony, or we would go on quads to a waterfall. It's like nothing of it was planned, but it just happened. So
Wow.
I really like that. I really want to explore the Jupiter line because also I have Leo there, and I think maybe it would be fun.
Ooh, oh my gosh, you should go to your Jupiter line. I can give you exact dates, but you should go to your Jupiter line when you're in your Jupiter return, which will be 2 years from now or a year and a half from now. Let me pull that up. Basically, your Jupiter is at 11 Leo. And so if we pull up the transits, when Jupiter is in Leo at that degree, oh my gosh, that would be oh my god, you got to take advantage of that transit and go when you have your Jupiter return. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so you've got to go August of 2026. August of 2026, you need to go to your Jupiter line because you're going to have your Jupiter return. Jupiter is going to be at 10 Leo. It's going to be approaching and applying, which is moving toward your Jupiter when it's strongest. So transits, they're strongest when a planet's applying to the planet and when it's right on top of the planet. When it starts moving away by degree from that planet, so like your Jupiter's at 11, if Jupiter started moving at 12, it's leaving, it's fading.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to get there like a degree before. So like when Jupiter's at 10 and your Jupiter's at 11, this would be like August 15th. And what's cool is Mercury will be conjunct Jupiter. So it's hitting, so it's Mercury, Jupiter, and the sun all on your Jupiter in August of 26. So that month is when I would go.
That's amazing. I'm gonna mark that. I have Argentina as my next maybe possible destination. And that's on
Ooh.
my Jupiter DS line. And I also met a friend in Bali who's from Buenos Aires. And the psychic told
Oh
her
my
that she's going
gosh.
back to Argentina at some point. So I'm going to write that
Wow.
down. August
Oh my
15th.
gosh. And I will meet you there
Yes.
because I have my moon's in Leo, but Jupiter, when Jupiter enters Leo, it's going to hit my moon, and I want to go to my Jupiter line when Jupiter's making a square. I just mentioned this in my recent podcast episode about like how to time your travels, but it's like when you're getting a hard aspect, like a square, an opposition, or a conjunction with a planet. So like if Jupiter's squaring your natal Jupiter, or if Jupiter's opposing your natal Jupiter, or in your case, it would be Jupiter conjunct your Jupiter, you're in a Jupiter return. Those are the times when you want to go to these lines. So at the same time that you're going through that, ooh, it's a sign. At the same time you're going through that, I'm also going to have Jupiter squaring my Jupiter, and my Jupiter line is in Brazil, Argentina, that area. My Jupiter MC, and
Wow.
I've never been there before.
Wow.
So we'll
That's
have to meet up. We'll
crazy.
have to do a
Yes.
trip together, summer of 26.
Yes. I have a question. If you are in a certain perfection year, would you recommend going to that line that is, I think, the Time Lord? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Of
Time
that
Lord. Yeah.
perfection year?
You could. I've never done it that way. I use transits and progressions. So I
Mhm.
like using the planetary movements and when they're activating the planets in the charts rather than the perfected Time Lord, just because it's a whole year and I want to get more precise as to like the month or the week if I can of like when to be right when it's exact. But
Okay.
you
Yeah.
can do it that way. I haven't tested that or played with it. More, I focus on transits and progressions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like, because I know you're a detailed person and I'm more big picture. I intuitively did that the past 2 years. Um, and I feel like it kind of activated, because year perfection year I was in on the Uranus line, which is in my ninth house.
Wow.
Um, I mean, it depends how you look at it. In Placidus, I have Saturn and Venus in the 10th. And then I was in Barcelona on the MC line. But yeah, I
Wow.
feel like
That's cool.
it did support it.
Yeah. Well, ninth house perfection years, going to travel, getting out of your home and going to faraway places, such a great way to use that time. Like go travel, go do all that when you're in a ninth house year. And so yeah, when you're in a ninth house year, it's going to awaken those planets that are in your ninth house. So I love that, merging it with astrocartography. That's a great way to use that. I love that. And it's so interesting. You said big picture. You have your Mercury in Sagittarius. So your Mercury is like how you think and communicate and process information. And you have it in Sag, which is like big picture, beliefs, culture, travel. And I have it in Gemini, which is like the details and the technical things. Technical.
True.
So we're opposites in Mercury's. But I find so many of my friends have Mercury in Sag, and I'm so drawn to Mercury and Sag people because my Mercury Gemini self like wants to learn from you, like wants to see your different perspectives, which Mercury and Sag excels at having perspectives, you know? So I think that's
Wow.
really cool. Yeah. A lot of my
Nice.
good friends have Mercury and Sag. It's really cool.
I hear so many astrologers saying that it's not in a comfortable place there because Sag doesn't belong there. But I also have it retrograde, so
Well, I always say planets that are retrograde, you do it in a different, unique way. You communicate in a unique way that's original, and you stand out. I find a lot of writers and speakers have Mercury retrograde, and it's almost like they stand out in their careers and their businesses. They make waves, they start movements because they do things differently. There's something really magnetic about, I think, Mercury retrograde people, and all of my favorite writers and bloggers, and over the years, they all have Mercury retrograde. And what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say before that, it was the reason Mercury is in detriment in Sag is because Mercury is all about like details and technicalities and like
Ah.
communication, and Sag is so big on beliefs and philosophy and like what's right, and like standing up for what's right and voicing opinions on what's right, etc. And so I think Mercury, there's always a plus side to every placement. There's always a lot of benefits to every placement. But Mercury and Sag can get kind of, it sees the vision, it sees the philosophy, the belief, but then it's how to communicate it in a practical way, if that makes sense. But you do such a good job of that, so I don't think that applies to you. You do such a good job at like practically breaking things down.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, there's so many parallels to human design because I have hope motivation, which is I'm designed to bring people hope and show them the vision of what's possible. Um, and what else? I mean, I could talk about other details, but it's just going to overwhelm people. But yeah, it's really funny how everything that you see in astrology, then you go to your human design chart, and it goes like more specific, like more personal, and you can find the information about it.
Oh, that's a question I would love to ask you. What do you
Mhm.
think are the differences between astrology and human design? Like, I play with human design, but I'm not an expert in it at all. Like, it just clicked for me the other day what sacral authority is. It took me years to finally, like, it clicked for the first time. Whereas for astrology, it's always like so easy and it's clicked for me. But human design has always felt more complicated and it takes more time for me to understand it. But what would you say are the big differences between the two?
I would say that, and this has changed for me the more I got into astrology. Um, I feel like astrology is more a mental concept. Um, it helps people to understand. You can go big picture. You can also go into the details there, um, but it's more about mental concepts. Human design for me is more focused on the human, how a human best operates, how the energy flows within the body, how to make decisions. It's more practical for um, analyzing or guiding people. But I feel like if you want something predictive, if you want maybe even like career, I mean, we have that in human design as well, which is called BG5. But I find a combination of astrology and human design to be the best. For example, looking at the MC, there is an equivalent in human design where you can check. So let's say you have your MC in the, I checked your Placidus charts just before we went on the call, in Leo in the 10th house in Placidus. And then you can check the degree, and the degree is always equivalent to a certain gate in human design. So while you can understand, okay, Leo MC at that degree, it helps you to know that, hey, I'm here to be confident and big and entertained and all of these things. And that's the flavor that my business needs. But you can go even more into depth by looking at the specific gate and looking at what exactly is the flavor of my Leo MC. And that's what I recently got into. Actually, a friend of mine, she shared something on Instagram about how you can find the gates. Her name is Tansi. She's at You Meme Design. On Instagram, she makes the most funny memes on human design. And yeah, it gave me so many aha moments. So I'm
Wow.
gonna share a prompt with you later that you can use to find out yours.
Ooh,
If
I know.
that
I booked
sounds
a
good.
reading with you. I'm so excited. It'll be fun
Yes.
later. I wanted to actually ask you this because I just filmed like a fun casual video on sacral authority. But one of the things I learned recently about human design is we respond differently. Like someone who is an emotional authority, they need time to sit on it or let their emotions ride before they say yes or no. Whereas, like a sacral authority, like I can feel it in my body if it's a yes. And if I'm hesitating, it's probably a no. What are the different, are there more different authority types or what are the different ones? And like briefly, how would you describe each one of how one responds or acts in the world?
Yes, so generators and manifesting generators either always have sacral authority or emotional authority. Sacral authority is very much of a sexual intuition, I would say. You either feel like physically turned on by something, you're like, oh, yes, like, oh, I feel drawn to this. I want to do this. Yes. Or it's whack, whack, whack. Like nothing is really responding. Like you're not getting anything from your body. Um, Emotional authority is all about how you feel about something, and the weighting comes from it actually helps you to find out how you feel about something, because in the moment that someone asks you something, if you have emotional authority, you might be at an emotional high, but your emotions always go up and down like a roller coaster. So you want to look at the thing that you want to make a decision about from as many different emotional viewpoints in the roller coaster, to have seen all of the angles of what's actually asked. And then the accumulation of all of these viewpoints is giving you the big picture that helps you to understand, how do I feel about this,
Wow.
in a very concise way. And then we have splenic authority, which is what I have, and only manifestors and projectors can have splenic authority. And that's very much of a in the moment light bulb, bing, and it comes once and then it doesn't come back in the same way. But what we do get is this feeling of like, I know I should have done that. Or you feel a little bit like, oh man, why didn't I just listen? So it takes a little, you have to be really connected to your body. Like with any authority, you have to be connected and listen with your body and see how your body responds. Um, and then there is self-projected authority, which only projectors have. There is a mental authority, also only projectors have that. Self-projected authority is all about speaking from your identity. So by the way you're speaking about something, with the sound of your voice, you will know, am I speaking about this in a good way? Because if yes, it sounds like I want it. And they only know, these people don't know it until they talk about it. So these would be your friend, that comes to you telling you about your problems. And then they never take any action on your advice. That's because they just used you as a sounding board. it was
Wow.
it was never about your advice. It was just about them needing you to vent to, because the resonance of their voice, like their voice frequency, hits your body, and then that gets reflected back, and that helps them to know what's right for them.
Wow.
And the mental authority is all about what makes sense. It's about the mind, what is logic, and they also need to talk it out. But they also sometimes get, these like Tetris moments when something clicks in their mind, and that's when they know, okay, this is what I want to do or not.
That's fascinating. That is something that I feel like astrology doesn't have, is like that component of like, how do you uniquely get your intuitive knowingness, those ideas? I was talking to my friend the other day because I went, not the other day, I went to go visit her in Georgia, and she loves human design, and she was telling me that sacral authority, you can wake up kind of neutral, and then the external reality can trigger emotions in you. But if you're an emotional authority, you're kind of always feeling emotions. Is that true, or what is that exactly?
Yes. So when you have sacral authority, your authority is like a metal detector that only responds when there's metal. In your case, when there's something that you get turned on by, that turns on your excitement. This is not to say that if you don't have it, that you're like dull and like, like a robot that is just like standing in the corner. But that's how you're designed to respond to life and to things from the outside, and then within you get that energy kick. Um, when you can be a generator, for example, or a manifesting generator who has the sacral defined but also the emotional defined, and then it would be an emotional manifesting generator. And then what every time you have something colored in your chart, it just means that this energy is within you and it's not coming from the outside. So emotional people, they are always going through an emotional process. Like think about the female cycle. It goes in 4 stages, and it takes a whole month to go through all these 4 cycles, stages of the cycle. An emotional person would have this throughout a day. On top of, like having a female menstrual cycle, um, that's just how they process information. Because if
Wow.
the information comes in and the roller coaster car stays stuck at a high, they will never get to the full clarity because they need the lows and the contrast, and then the sum of everything that they're feeling gives them the evaluation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fascinating now. Anytime I work with someone, or like I'm hiring on someone, or even just asking my friends, like, what's your authority type? I want to know, so I know how they make decisions and like how they have to process things. And I drive my husband crazy, and I just feel like, because I know things immediately, I'll
Mhm.
be like, this is what we have to do for the business. And my husband will be like, what? And I'll be like, I just know. I just know. And I think that's the sacral authority, is like that gut body knowing, just instant. And we don't have to really sit and sort. It's like, it's just there.
Yes, but also because there's so many components. You have Mars in Aries, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You're a single definition, which means that all of your energy centers in human design, they communicate with each other. There is no translation needed from, let's say, the information that's coming from your sacral to your going through via your identity center and then through your throat. It's going straight through. It's like a shortcut. It's like a flight without a stopover. Um,
Wow.
and then you have smell as your strongest sense, and that is a splenic flavor. And splenic is my intuition. It goes immediately yes, immediately no.
Yes.
So you have a splenic flavor to your sacral authority. On top of
Mm.
that, you have Mars in Aries, your single definition. There's like so many
Yeah.
components that
A lot of
also
it.
play into this. Yeah.
Yeah, because my husband and I, we operate so differently in that. Like, I'm so assertive. Like, he can give me a list of things. I'll be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, 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 no. And he like needs to like sit and think about it and process it. It drives
I think
me
it's split.
crazy. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's split. He needs someone to bridge that split, and then he's like, "Oh, now I get it." And
Yeah. But
yeah.
I've learned to use that, because like a lot of my life I've been so impatient. I'm such a fast action taker that I've been impatient, like if life doesn't keep up. But now I'm like, that's okay. I'm a leader, I manage, I give a lot of people tasks. I have a whole team, and I'm always giving people tasks, and I'm very decisive about it. And it's like, I can use the good side of it. But yeah, there's like some downsides to that too, just like lack of patience, but fascinating. This is all so cool. So last question I'd love to ask you is, what advice would you have for someone that's kind of just starting on this path, this life path?
The life path of finding themselves, or
Yeah, Finding themselves, yeah.
Mm, I think it's about noticing what is alive inside of you, and then becoming aware of if there is a story that is trying to dim or hold back whatever is alive inside of you, and then question, why is the story there? And obviously you can go like steps back and like first get a connection with your body. But I would say it starts with that, like listen with your body. When someone speaks, your body is a resonance, like a body of resonance. The voice, the frequency of their voice, of their energy hits your body, and you always get information. And then how do you respond to that information? Do you want to please or do you want to give space to whatever you're feeling? Yeah, I mean, so many entry points, you know, like Sag and
Yeah.
Mercury. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
where do I start? But um, I think that has been the biggest game changer, like not ignoring what my inner world is telling me. Um, and yeah, following it or giving my inner world what it needs to be in harmony. What would you say?
I would say do what lights you up, what makes life worth living every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, find those simple joys, those simple things that make you feel alive, and just keep
Yeah,
pursuing that and keep data collecting.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's also about like what's alive inside of you. What do you want to do right now? Like,
Mhm.
start your day. I always do a scan of my body, and then I scan visually over the city, the place that I live in, and I go, which place can I go to today that is in resonance with my need today? So, for example, I may go to bed thinking that tomorrow I want to go to Pilates, but then I wake up and I feel all stiff and I feel I need more space. So, I'm not going to Pilates, I'm going to yoga, you know, like that. And that's how all of these synchronicities happen, because you're following what would elevate your vibration today.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Oh, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you? How can people work with you and get your wisdom?
They can find me on Instagram at Lea Cristin, and I also linked my website there in the bio. I have a podcast called Alive on Your Terms. I share a lot about human design in real life, but also about manifestation. You know, like you're also a multifaceted person. Anything that helps you to accept the terms and conditions that you need to live a life that fulfills you.
Beautiful. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Leah. It was such a joy having you.
Thank you.